Charlotte, we're in the great library.
I know, I love libraries, Jude. They're so amazing. All these amazing authors of books is just so fantastic.
Uh, do you know what? I was looking at some of those authors, Charlotte, and I have to say, some of the names are so funny. You see, this book over here is written by Mr. Wiggle My Toes.
Well, there was one over there by Eva Brick.
And there's another one which was written by Ivor Boyle.
Well, that one over there is Carpet Fitting by Walter Wall.
Oh, I love a good book, and I love finding out about books and authors, and this is the most amazing place.
Oh, it is. Oh, tell you what, Jude, this looks like a really good place for a hide and seek. Oh, there's loads of places to hide.
That sounds like an amazing idea. I'd love to play hide and seek. Tell you what, how about I count to 10 and you run off and try and find the best place to hide, and I will see if I can find you in amongst all these books.
Okay, all right.
Ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Coming, ready or not. Oh, I wonder where she could be. Oh, well, Charlotte, I can see you there. You're hiding behind an umbrella, and you've got sunglasses on.
Oh, no, you spotted me so easily. Oh, this is terrible, Jude. Oh, how am I going to make a good detective if I can't even hide properly?
Well, I have to say you did stick out a little bit distinctive there amongst all of the books. But don't worry, we are going to learn how it is to be a great detective, because we're the new recruits. We're going to learn all about going undercover and discovering clues and finding evidence, and it's going to be so exciting. Wow. Look where we are, Charlotte. We are in Dr. Luke's detective agency.
Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, it's going to be so good, Jude. He's going to teach us so many things. Perhaps he'll teach me how to go undercover properly.
And maybe how to gather evidence and to speak in code. That'll be amazing.
Oh, so good.
We're going to learn all about how to be a great detective from Dr. Luke himself.
Actually, Jude, do you know anything about Dr. Luke?
Well, actually, I don't know much about him at all, apart from the fact that he's the one who owns this detective agency, and that's pretty much all I know.
Oh, would you, perhaps there's some clues around his office? We could have a look and see if we can find some things to give us a clue.
Great idea. Let's have a look and let's see what we can find. So, oh, that's a bit strange. I've discovered a first aid kit.
Oh, well, I found the world.
Ooh, that's a strange thing to find in here. Oh, look, I've got a feather, and I can wear. But wait a minute, it's not a feather. It's a quill.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Oh, I found some nice, tasty-looking Greek olives.
Oh, yummy, yummy. That looks good. And ooh, right here on the desk, it's a case file. It says unsolved case a code name author.
Oh,
Ooh.
and some parchment as well, Jude. I don't understand. Oh! Perhaps he needs us to go around the world picking olives.
Sounds wonderful. I'd love to do that as a mission. Or maybe he wants us to go undercover in a hospital or a doctor's surgery.
Oh, yes. What about the parchment? What about this paper?
Oh, and yeah, and this quill. Oh, wait a minute. How about if this is a very special detective's quill? And instead of writing normally, it's got invisible ink and we can write secret messages to each other. Let me try it and see. Oh, it's just a normal quill. Oh, this is getting really tricky, isn't it? I'm not sure I understand any of it. Oh, wait a moment. It says that the code name is author, and we've got all these clues. Charlotte, I think I know. I think I know what it is. I wonder who your favourite author is. Who is it that's written your most amazing favourite book that you love to read time and time again? In fact, I've got a little challenge for you. I'm going to count to 3 and I want you to run and find your favourite book and then come back and show it to me. So are you ready? You're going to have to pause in just a moment so you can go and get your book. So are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Let's see your favourite books. Hold them up for me so I can see. Oh, we've got storybooks and I can see some encyclopedia and some non-fiction books. There are even some picture books there and some poetry. Well, you have got really great taste in books. And I wonder what it is that you love most about your favourite. Have a little moment and I'm going to ask you to pause in a second and I want you to chat to the people around you. Chat about who wrote your book and where you find that on the cover. Chat about why it's your favourite book and what you love most about it and why you love to read it. So pause now and have a chat with the people around you. Now I've got a favourite book. It's a storybook. It's a storybook written for adults and it's a book that I first read about 20 years ago and I love it so much that I've actually got 3 copies of the book. And the reason why I've got 3 copies is because I read it time and time again. And every time I read it, it gets a little bit more worn out and the pages begin to get folded and in actual fact, one of my books, even the covers started to rip on it. Not because I've not looked after it, but just because I love to read it. And it's a storybook all about an archaeological dig where people are digging in the ground and they discover amazing artefacts. And I love that story. And even though I've read it many, many times, I love to go back to it. Because each and every time when I go back to that storybook, I discover something new. I discover something that I didn't notice before. And I love to put myself into that world and imagine I'm the one discovering the great treasure that's involved in the story. So I wonder what it is that you love about your favourite book. Well, we're going to be discovering all about the author of the Gospel book of Luke. Now, in the Bible, you will know that we have got in there a book that's called Luke. And guess what? Luke was the one who wrote it. But who is Luke? And why did he write this gospel? Well, those clues that Charlotte and I found all helped tell us about the author. In fact, we know that Luke was a physician, like a doctor. He was someone who went around and gathered evidence and looked at different cases and tried to work out what made people poorly. And he helped them. And Dr. Luke was the one who decided that he was going to gather evidence, work out what had happened, and write down all about Jesus. And Luke was someone who spoke Greek. He was someone who was very intelligent. and spoke the language of the important people of the time. And when he wrote his book, he wrote it in that language too, so that clever people and people who were high up could understand what it was that he was saying. Now, Luke wasn't just any old doctor. In fact, he was someone who had travelled a lot. He'd gone not quite across the globe, but he certainly travelled from land and land. And he went from place to place with someone else, with someone who you might just know. His name was Paul, and he was a follower of Jesus. And Luke, as he went round, he was watching and listening and seeing all that God was doing. And he decided to get his pen and he got his parchments and he would write down what he saw. All the stories about Jesus, what he'd learnt from Paul and from other people too. He wrote them. And so he discovered different stories about Jesus. And not only that, well, Luke was a little bit different to everyone else. You see, there are 4 Gospels in the Bible: Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. And Matthew, Mark and John, well, they all told the stories of Jesus from different points of view. And they were there and they'd been with Jesus. And they told the stories that they remembered of the times they were with him. But Luke went around and discovered all about what Jesus had done. He discovered stories from the people by listening to them and by gathering evidence. And he told stories of Jesus from a different point of view. Now tell me, have you ever seen a fight go on in a playground? Or a disagreement? Or when 2 children get into trouble? And maybe you've been called to one side by the teacher and been asked what it was that you saw. And you tell them, don't you? You tell the teacher exactly what you saw and what you heard. And then the teacher does something funny. The teacher calls someone else and asks them what they saw. And they find out all about what happened because the teachers are listening to different people about the same thing that happened. Now, the 4 stories about Jesus, the 4 gospel books, all tell us about Jesus, but they look at it from different points of view. And what's incredible about Luke's gospel, about the book of Luke, is that he looks at it from a very different way to the other 3. In fact, there are stories inside of Luke's gospel that you don't find in any of the others. There are stories of what Jesus has done and people he's healed, and the stories that Jesus told and parables that we can only find in the book of Luke and we don't find anywhere else. And that tells us something about Jesus. It tells us something different that we don't learn anywhere else, because Luke's gospel is distinctive. It stands out, and there are bits in it that you find nowhere else. A bit like Charlotte hiding in that library. She stood out under an umbrella and glasses, even though she was surrounded by books. She was distinctive and stood out. And the stories that Luke tells us, the extra pieces that he puts in, well, they stand out too. And so this time together, starting today and going on for the weeks ahead, we're going to be discovering the distinctive stories of Jesus through the book of Luke. And we're going to find out what Luke has to say about Jesus and what that tells us about him through the way in which we find out little secret clues and hidden stories and different ways of looking at Jesus from different points of view, so that we can see the whole picture of Jesus and know how amazing and special he is, because we look at it through a different set of eyes. And so I'd love for us to spend some time now praying that we get to see Jesus from a different way and get to know him from a different point of view. So I'd love for you to get your magnifying glasses out. Now, there might not be a real one like this. You can actually do it with your finger, just like me. But get your magnifying glass out as we pray. Lord Jesus, We thank you for Luke. We thank you that as a doctor he went around and gathered evidence to help us see you in a different way. And this week, as we learn more about you and hear your stories, and over the weeks and months, may we see you in a new way, an exciting way, as you would wish us to. Amen. And so my challenge to you is, this time, as we discover more about Jesus through the stories, let's see what we can learn about Jesus through Luke's point of view and his very distinctive gospel.
Wow, Jude, that was so amazing. Hearing about Luke and how he wrote about Jesus in a completely distinctive way.
It's incredible, isn't it? And we get to learn to be a recruit from Dr. Luke himself. We're going to see those secret stories and the different ways that he saw Jesus and what he's found out about him. And we get to learn from him. How awesome is that?
Absolutely fantastic. Can't wait.
I know, and we can now file our case file. So case file A, codename author, we have now solved.